says that your nuclear plan is not looking positive and has cast doubts on the timeline and budget you've set. Is the chief scientist wrong?
I just had a look at what's happening in the top 20 economies in the world. In 19 of the top 20 economies in the world, they have embraced nuclear because it's a zero emissions technology and they don't have a credible pathway to net zero by 2050 without it. It's the only way that they can firm up renewables in the system. The one economy out of the top 20 is Australia that doesn't have nuclear. Now, what do the chief scientists in the United States, the United Kingdom, in Canada, what do they know? What do the ministers there know that you know, or don't know that Chris Bowen somehow has worked out? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So the government can run all their political lines that they want. What we want is a strong economy, and for smelters and heavy industries to compete and to stay alive in our country, we have to have reliable baseload power. So there's going to be a lot more gas in the system, and there's going to be a transition to nuclear. The government has no concerns whatsoever about safety or disposal in relation to nuclear because they signed up to the AUKUS submarines. What Prime Minister could sign up to a technology knowing that our sailors would be on board with the nuclear reactor on the submarines, knowing that it was an unsafe technology? Well, of course, there is no concern about safety. And as Denny Price has pointed out in the Frontier Economics piece that we did, the modelling that we had done, bearing in mind that Frontier Economics has done a lot of work for Labor in government as well, it shows that our plan is 44% cheaper than Labor's transition plan. And at the moment, the talk of green hydrogen and batteries, it doesn't cut it. And that's why we're getting brownouts and blackouts. And it's why we're paying 3 times the cost for electricity in this country compared to, say, Tennessee or Wyoming, Tennessee or Ontario in Canada, where they have nuclear power and they're paying a fraction of the electricity costs that we are here.
The chief scientists, CSIRO through the GenCost report, have raised doubts about this point.
But I think Denny Price and others have pointed out the assumptions around the CSIRO report and the restrictions in terms of what the government's allowed them to do. It's a very different model that they were asked to undertake. Okay, so I just go back and have a look at the differences. They're 2 different briefs. And what we've looked at is what the system's cost, the entire system's cost will be, and the 28,000 kilometres of poles and wires going across rural communities proposed by the Prime Minister, the blanketing of hundreds of thousands of acres of productive farming land by solar panels and wind turbines, with no regard for the views of those regional Australians, the billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars that involves, that has not been taken properly into account by Labor's modelling. We'll sit down with him in government because we've had a very respectful relationship with bureaucrats, and bureaucrats ultimately work for the government of the day, and our position is very clear. We want to be like the top 20, the top 19 economies in the world, and we want to be within that grouping that has a pathway forward to emissions reductions. But I want to make sure that our system is cheaper, because companies here in WA will relocate to Malaysia to manufacture. They just re-import the aluminium at a higher cost, and at a higher cost not just economically but to the environment as well. Why would we do that? Why would we lose jobs here in WA and lose economic activity? We're not going to stop using aluminium for windows or for the economy. Why would we shut the economy down?